And happy March 27th, 2021. It is Saturday morning. It has been a long week, my friends, a very long week. And I'm glad you're all here. I hope you're all safe. And I did switch the audio setup for this, so as you're piling in, if you can let me know if you can hear me, we're back to the Rodecaster with Rode mics this week. Morning, Brandon. Nice to see you, Brandon Yarbrough. Brandon is an excellent point-to-point wireless feller. All right, everybody is saying that the audio sounds good, apparently. 18 of you in, 21 of you in, filtering in. So I packed the Zoom up. Good morning, Russell, Sean, Brian. Good morning, everybody. RG, Ed Lawrence, Francisco. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So I packed up the Zoom, little Zoom PodTrack 4, getting all that stuff ready to go in the backpack with the Mac and with the other tools that we're going to use to be on the run. Excuse me. Good afternoon in the Netherlands. Good morning, Dave Robertson, David Anderson. Perfect. Glad that audio is fine this morning. Hey, if I do this, if I'm hitting this button, is it muting? I use this, and so just wanted to make sure it is working. Somebody let me know if that mute button worked. Also, if you're here this morning, make sure you hit that like button. It lets YouTube know you are interested in this content. We got a few things we're going to talk about today. We've got a couple projects that I'm really excited about. And one of those projects is working with a local company that does powder coating and other creative things. I'm going to show you that here in just a second. But the other thing, I want to thank Protectly for sending this out. So this is a Protectly 6P, but it is not... Morning, Tony! Tony had a really good video this morning on the Grandstream GWN 7615 access point. So if you're interested in that, go check out Quick Tech Solutions. I've got GWN 7630 video in the works. Lots of Grandstream videos, actually. That UCM 6304 video, everybody wants to see full setup. So that is coming. I'm probably going to do a video on some of our methodology and things like that too, just to show you how much work and how much prep and how serious we are about those kinds of things. All right, so in this Protectly box, and thank you again, Protectly. If Brent, the CEO of Protectly, is watching, thank you very much. This is one of their new i7s. So this has the latest generation i7 chip in it. They did send this over to me for the lab. This thing is fully loaded, so this is one of the new ones. On the front here, you can see we've got HDMI, we've got the COM port, USB 3s. Look, they are now branded Protectly. I really like that. And then, of course, we have the 6 ports on the back, and this is a big, beefy box. So you're probably asking yourself, well, why are you so excited about this box? Well, the reason that I am particularly excited about this box is because this has 64 gigs of RAM. It has a 256 gig M.2 NVMe for the boot drive, and then it has a 1 terabyte SSD for the internal storage, and it's got 6 Ethernet ports, right? So we are going to run this as our virtualization stack, and it's got the same, mounts on the bottom, so we're going to be able to rack mount this thing. So this is going in the rack, definitely near the top. So I am super excited about this. This thing is going to run so many VMs. We're going to pair it with Synology and QNAP for iSCSI, and I am super excited about that. couple other projects this weekend as I've got to finish. There's going to be a video on a Protectly plus Netgear plus Grandstream network that I'm setting up for a customer. So I am going to do some video highlights on that. If you follow me on TikTok, if you go over there, I did a video where I kind of introduced the gear and I talked about the warranty and things like that. And it kind of blew up and I got like 1,000 TikTok followers over the last week or two. And so we've been dumping a bunch of stuff over there. I am going to start a YouTube short. I think a separate channel. Or maybe I'll dump them on here. I don't know how people feel about that. Let me know in the comments. How do you feel about me dumping 60-second just clips? I'm bringing back Patreon. So Tony and I were kind of talking about maybe that's some of that stuff is stuff that only Patreon subscribers see. I don't know how I feel about that. Tony and I we're kind of, in agreement with, some of these things. And so it takes a lot more discussion, a lot more thinking through, before you really ask people for money for things. It's something that you really got to be thoughtful about. So that is coming. And then I am setting up that 6304. And I've got a couple of the Grandstream door stations that are also going with that, along with 5 phones. So I've got to get that configured, get that shipped to the customer, and get that going. So I'm pretty excited about that. I don't know. You will see videos on the Grandstream door station, but there are some things about this customer site that you will not see because of the setup. Morning, Joe. And so this has been a pretty long week. And in support of our son, my son has to change his diet pretty significantly. And so to support him, my wife and I are also doing the Whole30. So I'm over 48 hours with no processed foods. Feel good. No, I haven't had any sugar, anything with flour, no bread, pastas, all those things that I would usually basically swim in. I haven't had any of that. And actually feeling pretty good. And so apparently like day 10, if nobody's died by day 10, after that, it's supposed to be all downhill. Joe, watch out. I know I've lost a couple pounds already this week. And in 30 days, as long as I'm watching what I'm eating, it's going to be, we're going to be neck and neck, I think. But, all right, so Ablay asks, what kind of virtualization program are you planning to use on that unit? I'm going to use VMware. I'm going to use ESXi 7, the free version. That is what I'm going to use because I have the free version. Actually thinking about getting a vMug subscription. So that I'll have access to all the tools because I would like to do some VMware videos. There's some decent videos out there, but from somebody who's been in the trenches and I've been a VMware certified professional for over a decade, always taking new VMware training classes and staying up on that stuff. I do want to minimize my use of VMware, but it's so easy. And I was going to go with Overt at first, and then the whole CentOS thing happened, and I'm like, I'm just going to go back to VMware, what I know at the moment. All right, so let's talk about some more things with Protectly. So I'm really excited about this. And what I'm excited about is if you saw, I guess let me go back a step. So if you've seen this Protectly, this is one of my lab Protectlys, and I painted this to look like the TI 568B standard, and it's awesome. Everybody loves this Protectly. Whenever they work with me, they want to know if this is the one they're getting, and I won't give this one up. However, Protectlys only come in one color at the moment, and I've had some people ask, can we get it in another color? Well, I've been working with the CEO of Protectly, and we've got a deal worked out, and this is how it's going to work. So there's another company going to be involved. We're going to do some kind of media things. They're a small, locally owned company, Harmonyville Hill Creative Studio. Full disclaimer, my uncles own this business. And So they do laser cutting, laser engraving, laser etching. And I actually had them build, they had this. I went out to, my daughter was out there, went out to pick her up, and they had this laying there. And I wanted it. My wife, if you follow us on social media, you'll know she's really into, we're into Halloween, but she's really into the sugar skulls. I'm kind of into it. She's really into it. And I saw this piece and I said, you know, can we just do 2 colors? Every other layer, can we do kind of like this purple and then leave the other one, the wood color? And this is the finished piece. We picked it up last night and they did just an absolute magnificent job. And you can see this, and it is super nice. And we're going to get it hung up. And they use a ruler for scale. So it is a fantastic piece. And after tax, it was like $53 or something like that. They do have an Etsy store. I left a link to their website in the description. They've got this calligraphy piece that is available that I think is absolutely awesome. The fine details that they get with their laser. They have a huge laser. And you're going to see it because we're going to do some videos out there with them and help them a little bit with some of their media stuff. But the one thing that I'm super duper excited about is that they actually have the capacity to do not only sandblasting, but powder coating. And these are all of the colors that they have in stock right now. And what I have to do, so I'm working with the CEO of Protectly, and the deal was, okay, I want to be able to offer people a powder coating service so that they can get the Protectly in a color of their choice. And so right now we know it's going to be around $20 for the powder coating. That's based on the dimensions of the 4-port Protectly. It's going to be around $20. And so how it'll work, how it has to work. First of all, Protectly, Brent over there is sending me an empty chassis. So he's going to send me a chassis without the guts in it. So there'll be no motherboard, no processor. And then I will work with the fellows over at Harmonyville Hill to talk about on these what needs to be taped off, like what don't we want. Man, focus is hard this morning, hard this week. So like, you know, there are some chrome accents and things like that. Like what don't we want powder coated? And we're going to work through that. Then we're also I'm going to scan this. So this is the Protectly FCC. I'm actually going to scan this because I'm going to have them peel this off. And this is going to be laser etched, laser engraved in the bottom of the cases. So your sticker will be permanent. And then we'll put the Protectly logo on the bottom. We'll put the Willie Howe logo on the bottom. And we'll put the Harmonyville Hill logo on the bottom of the device to just be etched. So this won't actually be a sticker. This will be laser engraved into the device, which I thought was going to be pretty awesome. But to get the ball rolling on this, he's going to send, like I said, he's going to send empty chassis, because what I have to do is I have to do a full study for Protectly about the thermodynamics, if that's what we're calling it. I think that's probably the right word, of this device, right? So I've got to do a study right now on the heat dissipation in different environments. So a cooler environment, warm, you know, so I'm going to put this thing, I'm going to shove it in the attic. I'm going to shove it in a cabinet. I'm going to put this thing in places we're going to break out the heat guns, the FLIR, all those things, and get heat profiles of this. Then what's going to happen is that blank chassis that he is sending in, we're going to take it over to Harmonyville Hill, and we are going to have them powder coat it. And then what I am going to do is I'm going to transplant the guts out of this one into the other chassis, and we're going to run it through the exact same test. Now, you might be asking yourself, why are we doing this? Well, it's to protect your warranty. So by default, you are going to get a 1-year warranty with your Protectly. You also have the option to, get a 2 and a 3-year warranty. So this will protect your warranty as long as we don't mess with the heat dissipation of the chassis, which this paint that I put on here had zero measurable effect with my tools. Now, I'm not saying it didn't have an effect. I said it had zero measurable effect with the tools that I have. Now, obviously, I'm not like an underwriter's laboratory with hundreds of thousands of dollars of sensitive equipment. I'm using stuff that I can get off the shelf for a few $100s, and it works, for everything that we do. So what the CEO of Protectly has said is, if you all want your devices powder coated, you'll be able to, if these tests all shake out and everything is good, you'll be able to send the device. I will disassemble the device. Harmonyville Hill will powder coat the device, laser etch it. I will reassemble the device, test it to make sure that it works, and then the fellows over at Harmonyville Hill will ship you the device. So that's kind of what we're working on. I'm super excited about this process. It is going to be quite a bit of work, but I think it's going to be a winner for everybody involved. Let's go over to the comments real quick. Can you have 2 of these routers for failover but only one ISP? Yes, you can run the Protectlys in high availability mode. They have a standard CARP based system for that. Morning, Gibby. Yeah, OpenSense for the win for sure. Yeah, and powder. They're going to be able to do all kinds of different powder coating. So I'm just excited to be able to get if I want to install. So the thing is about Protectly, if we go back over to their site real quick, you can see that they support OpenSense, PFSense, Untangle, Sophos, Ansel. So Ansel is another virtualization management platform. XCP-ng, Ubuntu, Windows, so you can run Windows on it, Proxmox. Basically, and then also you can run so many more on this, right? Because most Linux distros are going to recognize the hardware in this. So something like IP-Fire. But I mean, if you're, for the little bit of extra added cost, right? You're quoting a customer, you're quoting a large a business customer, you're quoting a large home customer, even a home customer that just wants something custom, because who doesn't want a cool looking firewall, right? Could you imagine this thing rolling up in blue if you've got Sophos installed on it, or it rolling up in orange with OpenSense, green with Untangle, you know what I mean? Like, and it is 2 pieces, so I'm assuming that if you wanted to pay extra, they could do multiple colors, right? So it's definitely interesting, and it's powder coat, so it's not going to be cheap like I did with my paint here, where I could probably scratch this off. I mean, you're really gonna have to work at that, getting that powder coating off there. All right, back over to the comments. Let's see here. Gibby says, you won't have any problems with heat. We did it all the time when I was in car audio. Well, that's good. Ablay says, are you planning to stress test the unit while doing your heat study? Yes, we will have to max out CPU usage and memory usage and things like that and put it under a load for a while. Good afternoon, Stephen from London. So let's talk about something else, making the importance of having a good team. So if, I think that good leaders surround themselves with people who are probably smarter than them in some things. And I think good leaders also build teams that they can depend on. And I will tell you that I have done a great job. If you've been using my company for any kind of consulting, you'll know that I have James and Tim. And over the last week, personally, my schedule got a little derailed last Friday night. I'm not going to go into the details of that. It's private family stuff, but James and Tim have really stepped up with some of these projects that we're working on and ran with the ball. And so those guys really, I don't know. I've told them that I appreciate them, but I don't know that they really actually know how much I appreciate them. So I've got to figure out some way to really kind of show them that. And some of you might say, well, you pay them. Isn't that enough? No, it's not, because they could have just told the customers, ciao, and then left people upset and waiting, for my schedule to get back to normal, but they didn't do that. They really stepped up. And then even at my day job, I've got a team. Of course, my boss, she was super awesome, tell me whatever flexibility I need. And she does, she treats me like a real professional. So I do appreciate that. And, but the team that I have there, really, I've been on the struggle bus this week, with a few things, and everybody around me has really, picked up the ball, and Joe and Tony, and Unky Joe and that the little group that we've got and the group that we're building, everybody, I mean, Joe and Tony have kept me laughing all week. Just been there as real solid friends, just as Tim and James have been. And so everybody, I feel like the whole team, and even those of you out there that follow us on social media and aren't necessarily customers, I mean, everybody, has been pretty good this week. But the team that I have that is really close to me, less than a dozen people, everybody has just been just fantastic. And I don't think you can go through life alone. People talk about being self-made and things like that, but there's always teams. You got to depend on people. And everybody this week has just, there's not enough, there's not enough people like to be shown appreciation in different types of ways. So I've been making sure that I tell everybody how much that I do appreciate them, but there's not enough monetary awards, or, you can't do the right thing sometimes, or it doesn't feel like, the right thing to let people know. So I'm just going to have to do the best that I can and show and let people know. And, but yeah, everybody has just been great. So make sure you're surrounding yourself with good, positive people that you can grow with, and that people that you can depend on, we do a lot of information security work, so you'll know that our circles are small, but our circles are reliable and our circles are great. And I hope that you can surround yourself with people like that you can count on and that you can depend on. So I want to say thank you to everybody. And I know Tony and Joe are out here, and those guys have definitely been instrumental this week as well. So, all right, over to the comments. Joe from Cajoling Technology says, "Hey Willie, do you have any of the Protectly i7?" Yeah. So, Joe, you may have joined a little late, but this is that new i7 with that latest gen i7. And so I'm going to fire this up. It probably, you can probably, I'm assuming that there's something built into the processor. So here's the deal, right? So it's been so long since I have concentrated on the nuts and bolts of hardware itself, right? Like, so this processor with this motherboard and this memory and this component and that component, there are other people that are way better at that than me. And so like I lean on those folks, like, okay, hey, I need a Lenovo laptop, so we've got Barry, or I need, this. And so, I lean on different people in different capacities to bring me the right, as far as like server or PC hardware. I lean on Protectly to bring me the most awesome firewall, open source or open platform where we can install all that. And I don't think that there's anything better than this. I mean, you get freedom of choice. You can have an open source, fully auditable BIOS if you're worried about supply chain issues. And so this, in my opinion, best bang for your buck. And so I forgot where I was going. Oh yeah. So sometimes, when I'm looking at the minutia on these things. So what I was getting at, I said all that to say this, Joe. Possibly we could use this as a daily driver, especially since it's got HDMI out. So I think if you're doing certain things, absolutely. This could be a daily driver. It's got 64 gigs of RAM in it. So I could actually run Windows Server on this and then virtualize a Windows 10 machine. But Windows 10 is definitely going to do this. I'm assuming, and somebody in the comments tell me if I am wrong, but I'm assuming that like the i7, these higher end processors have some sort of built-in graphics ability. So you'll be able to watch YouTube videos and stuff like that. Might be able to do some older first-person shooter games or something like that, but you're not going to be able to run any of the new stuff. But definitely, I could definitely see these. You know, where I could really see like the i5 or the i7 in this format is like hospitals and places where they want to mount these. We've all been, you know, to an urgent care or a hospital or something, and you see they've got those tiny HP PCs or thin clients. I mean, this could actually be a much more competitive model because it's that same print, that same size print. What am I even looking for there? Footprint. But it's got much more powerful hardware in it, right? So, all right, back to the comments. Let's see. I know, I'm like I said, I was riding the struggle bus this week. Dennis says, I was super impressed with working with James. He did a great job. Thanks, Willie. And thank you, Dennis. I sent you an email earlier this morning following up. So Dennis is one of our first UCM 6300 series customers. And the last part of Dennis's deployment is him and I have to get together this week and hook up Remote Connect, which is where your Grandstream phones can connect to your PBX through a proxy, so you don't have to expose any of those ports or anything. So I've got to invite Dennis on over to my account, so he's got access to edit those things, and we get a little bit of training, and I think we're going to be done, Dennis. So, all right. Terry says he's sorry that he was late because he was scooping the poop. And but this will be much more enjoyable. That probably depends who you ask. I'm sure I've got plenty of people out there that don't care for my content, the way I put things together, the subjects of the content, and so they would probably rather pick up dog poop. But that's okay. We'll let them pick up dog poop, and we'll all have a good time. Admin Engineer asks, can you run Router OS on it? Yes. Anything that is x86 or 64 AMD 64 based will run on the Protectly hardware. So yes, you could install the x86 version of Router OS on a Protectly. What is your MSRP on your Protectly? So I thought that was probably going to come up. So this Protectly, they did ask me what hardware I wanted. And I have never had anybody ask me, what hardware do you want? And so I didn't want to like be that guy, right? But the MSRP on this is about $11.87 plus shipping. Maybe a little higher, a little lower, but this thing is going to run like I can't wait for this. So I've got to get my rack put together, but I got a few projects that I'm behind on, and so I got to get caught up with those, and then I'm going to put the rack together, and then we're going to really be able to start doing some of this stuff. I've been thinking about doing a couple different live streams, and one of the live streams that I've thought about doing is basically where we're in the room where the rack's going to be, and we're just kind of hanging out, and I'm just doing stuff and capture the screen and stuff like that, and then go back to the comments a couple of times, kind of like, I don't know, maybe like a, you know how people like game and like people watch people game? Well, I thought, well, maybe people want to watch us set up routers. So let me ask you this too, and I'd like some serious answers in the comments. So I know that Tony over at Quick Tech has a 360-degree camera. I have some limited 360-degree camera. We're doing some stuff for Earth Day where we're doing hikes on trails. We're doing a garden tour. Excuse me, this is for my day job. And we're going to put it together in a package where people are going to be able to, if they've got, they can do the 360 degree. We butchered a hat, made a special hat so that you don't see the person. And it's really cool. And we're using the GoPro. I'm thinking about buying one for my consulting business. And I'm thinking about doing educational videos at the rack wearing a 360-degree camera mounted on my hat. Just I've got this hat butchering down so that you don't see the person. Is that something that you think people are interested in, or are we trying to bring 2029 into 2021 and we should just leave it alone, right? Would that be interesting? 360-degree network build videos, troubleshooting videos? Let me know what you think over in the comments. Yeah, so Noodle says that these boxes have a nice industrial design. So if you watch the first video that I ever did, at the time I weighed like 225 pounds. I stood on those. I stood on those Protectly boxes. They didn't even grunt. They didn't even break a sweat. It was great. I mean, my bicycle and the treadmill groan when they see me coming, and those, they just fluffed it off. Yeah, Dave Robertson said he just got his first UCM 6300. So funnily enough, I have a customer in Lamont, Illinois, which is not too far from me, an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. And last year we deployed a UCM 6208 because it was a rack mount form, and we were emailing last night and this morning, and he's going to go ahead and upgrade to a 6301. We're going to add one phone at home. His wife does a lot of the front end stuff on their business, interacting with customers, scheduling, and all those things. And so they've got a home office. Right now we've got them connected via VPN. And we are going to go ahead and spin down the VPN for the phone portion. Now we're still doing data backup and things like that from the office to home and vice versa. But what we are going to do is we're going to have one video phone. It's a GXV 3350. Let me pull that up here real quick. One of my favorite phones when it comes to video phones. Let me pull this up. So this is the GXV 3350. So where it differs is it's still got the tactile buttons. We're still going to have buttons on phones, I think, for probably... So I'm approaching 40 in a couple years. But I think by the time I'm ready to retire and not do this anymore, I think maybe we're going to be ready to start getting rid of buttons on phones. But I really do think that buttons on phones are going to be around for another 20 years. And I've had some people say, well, phone systems are going by... No, they're not. No, they're not. We're not replacing phone systems, PBX, with cell phones. It's just not going to happen until somebody comes out with this revolutionary system where you don't have to pay the cell phone company a stupid amount of money and you can manage all those devices like they're an on-prem PBX. Just be quiet. We're not replacing PBXs anytime soon, with cell phones. It's just not practical. It's just not going to happen. There's too much money in it. Anyway, this is one of my favorite video phones. So one thing about the Grandstream, I'm going to do a video on this since I've got this phone. This thing, let me see if I can find... You can't see it here. So you can put the sidecar. Oh, yeah, here's a picture of it right here. So you can put the new sidecar on this. And these new sidecars, I've got one of those. They're beautiful. What they're not showing you is that you can actually hook this into a monitor. So this has got HDMI out. It's got a USB. The other thing about the Grandstream video phones is, I'm pointing at this like you can see me pointing, but see the camera right there? I've got the camera like front and center. There's actually a dial on the top of this where you can roll so that you can't see the camera. It's one of those really nice little things that they did. Privacy wheel is what they call it. I think it's fantastic. 16 lines with 16 accounts, Android 7, fully upgradable. Now, you can actually install the Google Play Store on this and install other apps. So it's, you're pretty much limited by your imagination. It has the built-in Bluetooth, and we are rolling out a lot of really cool Bluetooth headsets. It's fully gigabit. It's got 2.45 gigahertz, PoE plus. It is a fantastic piece of kit. I really do like this. So like when people are like, well, let's do video phones, this is what I go to, because anybody can still use this phone without being afraid of it, without being scared of it. Right. And I will tell you, this is from listening to large amounts of people talk about it. I mean, I'm trying to get Grandstream to give me a jitterbug phone. Let's see here. I want to do flying voice IP phones. So I'm trying to get Grandstream to recognize that we have an aging population, and that we need. So flying voice, I've got a couple of their phones. We're starting to work together, and their phones run it's open WRT / DDRT looking. And so I've got a few things that I'm asking them to change, because I know that if they launch these phones like this and they don't fix this, that they are going to get blasted. But I'm trying to get them to send me one of these, and they had redesigned it. But in my opinion, this is the most beautiful big button phone I've ever seen in my life. And we need these phones, whether it's for resorts, hotels, condos. It's a no frills, large phone. You can put the braille bumps on the phones. This phone is as close to like a wholly accessible phone that we can get. Look, it's got the big ass red help button. This phone is beautifully designed. I need them to change one thing. And I'm trying to get them to understand this. Here are the ports. The ports are, hold on a second. Let me grab this phone. And if they don't send me one of these, I'm probably going to buy one out of my own pocket, because they're not that expensive. The expensive part will be in getting it to the U.S. We're working on a distributorship and things like that. So when they ship me their phones, they come directly from the source. So all of their phones are designed with kind of this flaw that I'm trying to get them to overcome, which is the ports are here, but look how shallow these phones are, right? So the problem is you can't mount this on the wall. You can, but you shouldn't, with the way the manufacturer did I show you all that? Yeah, let me pull this up. So here's the thing. I really like these phones. I don't want you to think that I don't like these phones, because I really do like these phones. However, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you this. Let's see. Because I sent them a thing saying, I need you to move the ports. And the reason I need you to move the ports, I'm trying to get these images for you without showing you all in my email. Okay, I found it. Thank you for hanging in there with me. You could do this a couple different ways. I guess you could power it with a power brick, right? And then I suppose you could power it with a power brick. Here's the thing, right? If they release, I'm going to give you a second. I'm going to give you a second to look at that. If they release to the United States market, and in their instructions, they tell you to do this janky thing to the Ethernet cable, they will never gain credibility. They will never gain any traction. I'm trying to get them to understand this, that your cables are important. And that is a very bad cable. That is a very bad cable. And I'm trying to get them to understand that. So the other thing that they had, I told them, I said, I cannot tell people to do this. I cannot. I can't. Like, I do networking. That's what I do. I cannot. Here, just in case you're wondering what I'm all freaking out about, if you haven't seen it, check out that beaut right there. I can't tell people to do that. It would be reckless and irresponsible. The problem is, their hardware is awesome. Their software is good. They've got this big phone that I'm in love with. This big button phone that I'm totally in love with. I want this phone. We need these phones. These are the phones that people need. I mean, look at it. It's got Wi-Fi. It's only 10100. That's cool. 2 SIP accounts. What do you need any more than that for? This is perfect. This is the jitterbug phone that we need. Braille on the keys. Hearing aid compatible. I can't mount it. I just can't do it. And you can tell it's the exact same setup because their phones are ultra sleek. If I can get them to fix that, if I can make them understand that when they come to this market, that has to be fixed. And simply, and I know it's not simple, right? So when I say something like simply, I understand it's not simple. But put the ports on the side. Put my Ethernet port on the side. If you want to keep the phone this profile and you want it mounted, give me a port on the side. Do something different with the port. Put it on the bottom. Do something different. Man, let's go over to the comments. Let's go over to the comments. I want to see what you all think. All right, over to let's see. Noodle says, is there any out-of-bound management option with those Protectly boxes? Well, there is the serial port. I'm not 100% sure what we could do with those, but we'll have to find out if we can do more than just like a serial connection with that. All right, Ablay says he'd be interested, or here, I'm assuming sorry about that. Don't need to, 2021, I can't assume things anymore. Be interested in educational content for sure. Noodle says, not sure about the 360-degree thing. I got to tell you, I can't wait to have some buttered noodles. I've got 27 days left, and I'm going to have some buttered noodles. Let's see. Ressi says, those boxes aren't rebadged partakers. So I'm sure that these Protectly boxes are OEM'd, but here's the thing. You are getting hardware support from Protectly in the United States, in California. You're getting configuration from them. They are putting the boxes together. So while it's just like everything else, while the components are made somewhere else, you are dealing with a company here in the States that'll handle your support and the whole bit. And that right there is worth its weight in gold. Noodles once again says, not sure about the 360. Would really have to see an episode to figure it out. Yeah, so I'm thinking about maybe we do that. Joe from Cajoling says, do you think you could drive a car over the Protectly? That would be a fun video. Let's do that today. And Joe, if it pops my tire, will you reimburse me? Because that's what I'm not afraid for the Protectly. I'm afraid of ruining the tire on my car. But I promise you that today I will take this out and I will run over it. And we'll bring it in and plug it in. I promise. I'm going to do that. I'm going to set it right here. It's going to go outside of me. I got all kinds of things to do. We got to go look at a rowing machine. I'm going to run over this. I'm going to have to do it so it's not sharp. So I'm going to have to like do it so that it's like the rounded edge. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I drive a Volkswagen, station wagon, little TDI. I don't know how much. I don't know what the gross weight is on it, but we'll see. So if we don't want if we don't do 360 degree, would it be worth it to wear the action cam and just let it roll, right? Commentary awareness, you know what I mean? Maybe not 360, but maybe first person. Let me know about that. Can I play solitaire on that phone? No, I cannot play solitaire on that phone. Well, maybe the Grandstream. Maybe the Grandstream. Could you do a video on voice over IP system 101 for people that are starting out? That is a great idea. And Tony's absolutely right. So Tony is, if you haven't seen Quick Tech Solutions, go check it out. His video production is over the top. Joe over at Cajoling, his video production is good too. And I love both you guys, but Tony's like video production is like, it's extra and I love it. So he's going to do some virtual real estate tours, which is interesting. I've seen a lot of that. I've seen a lot of drone stuff too. With the real estate. So Noodle says, OMG, is that how they patch cables over there? It could be. I mean, yeah, right? It is a super tight bend. Alonzo Smith, that is real. That was what they sent me as the solution for wall mounting this. This phone is gorgeous. Software and hardware is gorgeous, but we got to move these ports. We got to do something about this. And I understand what they were going for. And I do have the kickstand, right? But a lot of times we're going to wall mount a phone. A lot of times we're going to do that. And this is the Achilles heel of this product line. I've got to get my hand on one of those white big button phones. I got to do it. I'm going to go ahead and get the video out for this and talk about that. Because I'm not going to hide it, right? Because it's got to be addressed. They're not going to sell many phones unless it's going to be a desk phone only. I mean, how many kitchens, how many break rooms, how many linen closets, how many of these places where you need a phone are you not going to wall mount it, right? Mail rooms. I mean, wall mounting a phone is pretty common. It is pretty common. So yeah, it is real. Yeah, okay, so somebody brought that up. Who was that? Yeah, slim patch cords aren't going to work. So Steven Goldstein said, needs a deeper socket. See? This is why groupthink is good. I think you're right. But the thing is, so he said use a deeper socket. So there's the sockets, but right opposite of the socket is the LCD screen, right? So I'm assuming we're going to be causing some issues there. So I am not a design engineer by any stretch of the imagination. I'm the guy in the field making it work. And this is a good example of why folks, technicians in the field, sometimes, a majority of times, maybe, depends who you ask, disagree with engineers. Designs like that. Because these guys, these folks are not out in the field deploying these, hanging these on walls. Then all of a sudden you get some sort of weird, crazy network something, and there's 500 yards of Cat 5 that somebody took the sheath off of so they could bend it and then wall mount the phone, and it's a cluster. Let's see. I don't think I could use a flat patch cable. Plus, if I use a flat patch cable, Gibby, the flat patch cable, then I'm going to have to like roll up the flat patch cable because these channels are designed for round Ethernet, right? They're not designed for the flat. So you could bend the flat, so then you start getting into all kinds of other issues. So the thing about the thin, so Steven just says, what about those thin Ubiquiti leads? Are you talking about the leads that they put in their own, each one of these comes in their own anti-static bag? We are not being good stewards of the earth, Ubiquiti. We are not being good stewards of the earth and our resources by putting each one of these little cables in an electrostatic bag. Is one of the biggest packaging faux pas I've seen. So the deal with this is I can bend it, but it sticks out even further than a regular cable. These are neat little patch cables. They're novel. And it says Ubiquiti on it, so I'm sure people are going to run out and buy it. It's novel. I need to stress test it and see how many times I can do this before the cable is garbage. Oh, did you hear that? That one, I might have popped something there. So now we need to put a warning on the package. Do not bend more than 6 times. I don't know. Monoprice has got some interesting ones too. And Paul says, is the cable only a problem if it's wall mounted? Yes. But if you've ever deployed, anything more than a small office, home office voice system, you wall mount phones regularly. That is a problem for me. So if I'm going to recommend your phone, if I'm going to recommend this, if you are deploying and supporting devices, you understand from a practical standpoint, from a monetary standpoint, when you can deploy, if I can deploy 20 of these phones at the site and manage just 20 of these phones, it's much more efficient for the customer. It's much more efficient for me. I start mixing and matching devices and manufacturers. Then you run into all kinds of issues. That's not a good situation to put yourself in, and I would never do it if I could avoid it. So, I mean, if you've deployed more than a small office, home office, like a hotel, next time you're at a hotel, next time you're at a store, like a Walmart, a Target, a Farm and Fleet, next time you're in a restaurant, tell me how many of the phones are sitting on a desk. Do a count. Do yourself a favor. Do a count and tell me how many of the phones are sitting on a desk. Not very many. Slim cords are the bomb. My entire rack uses slim cables. Yeah, the slim cables are nice. They're nice. All right, so Bob Carpenter joined us. Good morning, Bob. Bob says, morning, Willie, playing catch up on your video. Yes, the Intels have built-in graphics and pretty much all the Celeron i3, i5, i7, i9 U series. 15 to 20-ish watts laptop CPUs for thermal. So it looks like there could be, maybe we could play Day of Defeat Source. So if you're on Steam and you want to get a chance to totally own me in an FPS, you could ping me and I'll shoot you over my Steam name. But maybe we could play Day of Defeat Source. That's my favorite FPS. I know it's old school, Axis versus Allies, and I love it. Unky Joe is in the house. Good morning, Unky. So there are, speaking of out-of-band management, right? So there are serial to IP devices that you could get to plug into that. If it is only serial, if it's truly only serial. Cecil says, Willie, have you deployed the GWN 7630 LR? Yes, we have deployed the GWN 7630, the LR, which is the outdoor rated access point. Yes, every time we deploy GWN access points, people are like, holy smokes, why is my wireless works? It's stable, it's secure, and my voice works, and it's a reaction we get every time, and I love it. Yeah, they got to move. Yeah. So somebody says, let's see here. Noodle says action cam on the head, no doubt. Great idea in any case. Well, I also, yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to try it out. Javier, sorry, I'm totally butchering your name, but you put a comment in here and I want to address. Hey, Willie, why not design a mounting bracket like the MB100 for Linksys SPA 9000? So, okay, why should I design Flying Voice's bracket? If you're not going to give me what I need to go to market, I'm not going to sell your device. Why would you put yourself, let me just ask you this. We come back at you with this. Why would you put yourself in a position where you have to pay to either 3D print or you have to pay to have something made to support a manufacturer's device? That is the most ridiculous thing I think I've ever heard. I would not do that for a manufacturer. If a manufacturer wants to stay in business and they are serious, they're going to provide you with what you need. So no, I am not going to design any of that stuff. It's just like you don't see me. Yeah, do I think it's cool that people like print like things to rack mount cloud keys and 8-port switches and stuff like that? Yeah, it's cool, but those devices were never meant for that, and I'm not going to do it. That's cool. Do it for your home. Do it for wherever you consult. But no, I am never going to set the expectation with a client that I'm going to 3D print and design or do anything. The manufacturer is going to provide that for me because we provide manufacturer's warranties, and we handle the warranties and things like that. No, I'm not going to do that. You can do that. You can do that. I'll even put a link on my website that says, hey, here's a dude that will 3D print this stuff for you, and he'll fully support it. And he'll do all the troubleshooting. I'll do that for you. Things that companies expect, things that people expect out of companies. If you're going to do that, that's cool. You shoot me your info. We'll put a big old link right on the website. This dude will 3D print. He will design, do all that stuff. Yeah, so Joe also says, hey, Willie, could you use a recessed one gang RJ 45? Not saying that would be great, but in a pinch. So the thing that you could, right? So you could sync the RJ45. You could like do all kinds of math and stuff and figure that out. I still don't recommend it, but you totally could. You totally could. So a lot of the phones, what we see is here in the center, you're going to have your mounting holes here and here. And I'm sure you've all seen those wall mount, flush mount boxes that have like the two silver nubs, the like nubs that stick out, and you just hang a phone on it. They could also come up with some sort of a design for that. Yeah, I'm not, the thing is, I'm going to do a review on this phone and I'm going to talk about it, right? So I will not deploy any of these outside of the lab until that's fixed, unless they're all desk phones, right? If somebody says, I want 5 flying voice phones and I really am in love with that big button phone like you, and I want one of those for the bathroom or grandpa's room, whatever, they're all going to sit on a desk, then we might deploy them. But if there's ever a shot that I'm going to have to wall mount it, ain't happening. Let's see here. It is not the phone's fault. It's the wall's fault for being too close. Yes, that's where we're at in 2021, right? We're going to shift the blame. No, Paul, it does not have that wall mount bracket. The Flying Voice is built directly into the phone. Now, this bracket, the space that you see for the bracket here, is for the for putting it on the desk. And where did that bracket go? The bracket is currently somewhere in my office. Let's see. A 90-degree patch cable is still probably not going to work really well. You can get the angled RJ45s. Let's see. Yeah, so if they provided a third-party wall mount, that's fine. What I am saying is I am not going to produce and support and distribute that. If there's another company that's going to do that, that's great. But me as the integrator, as the reseller, I'm not going to do that. So, and that's awesome that you've installed 65,000 Cisco phones. Let me know how that works out for you in a decade. Just us personally, we did over 3,000 Grandstream handsets last year, just James and I. So, and that was in 1 year. So and this year we are building towards that another 3,000 already. And Bob is exactly right. You shouldn't have to do anything. They need to come up with an interim fix before they fix this glaring issue. I agree. And that picture that they sent me was not, that's not the way. So, yeah, Bob, there is a tilt stand, but it has, on the next Cajoling Tech Zoom call, I'll hook in a Logitech webcam so that I can show you the beauty that is my office. I'm thinking about having a garage sale for some of this stuff. I've got some things that I bought that are not going to be used anymore, so I'm thinking about trying to like slim things down a little bit. We'll see how that works out. At least I'm getting rid of the cardboard boxes. But they are somewhere here in the office, and I just got to find them. But yeah, I got to find it definitely before I finish the video. Pablo says, would you recommend the GWN LR instead of the APLR? Yes, I would recommend the GWN series of access points over, and of course it is depending on your use case, but if you're mounting these to a ceiling, if you are definitely going to want to use access points outside, yes, I'm going to recommend those probably over the APLR. So yeah, Terry Johnson, bring $25,000 in cash and a pickup truck. Oh, we're also having sausage gravy over potatoes because we can have that on the Whole30. So bring your appetite. David Anderson brings up a good point. He put it in the comments. Look at what David said. Where else did they cut corners like that image? And kind of makes you wonder. Yeah, so if they cut corners on that and we're like, oh, just make this shitty Ethernet cable, where else? I don't know. I haven't found any place else. Here's what I will tell you, David, is that the software options inside this phone are vast. They are wide and deep. And I mean, pretty much got a router running inside of this thing. I mean, they've scaled, I say that kind of in jest. They've kind of scaled some of that stuff back, but it's running DDWRT or OpenWRT. They clarified that. They didn't like me saying, that. Let me find the, oh, so I just looked at the email and she says, "Hi, Willie. There are three ways to wall mount the IP phone when you are using cables. I've attached 2 images for explanation. Use the wireless was option 1. Use an AC adapter with an L-type plug which supports 5 volt 1 amp. Then number 2, drill an additional hole in the wall for plugging in the AC adapter. Need to drill additional hole in wall for plugging in the AC adapter." Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. They need to redesign their ports because let me show you this. Let me show you this other picture. Oh, why didn't it download? There we go. So check this out. Here is the option that they had. So here's where they're talking about use this L. Okay, so check this out. So they're using this L type, and the damn thing's sticking over into where the cord's gonna go. So that's why they said drill another hole in the wall. Come on, Flying Voice, you're better than that. You got a bunch of smart engineers on staff. Figure this out. Because I want to use your phones for everything. Occasionally. When we're not using Grandstream PBXs. It's like if we use a Yaystar or we use something else, I want to use your phones. I think they're cool. Some of this stuff's non-starters, folks. For professional installation. It really is. So, yeah. So I responded and I said, can I make a suggestion? People are not going to be happy with these answers. To keep the phone thin and the power and Ethernet should be moved to the bottom edge. Then they responded, thank you. Hello, Willie. Thank you for your suggestion on how to make our product more user-friendly. I am sending your suggestion to our R&D team. Thank you again. And then she saw where we talked about it a little bit. She wrote back. This was February 22nd. Hello, Willie. I hope everything goes well with you. We've watched your live stream on YouTube. At present, the operating system on Flying Voice's IP phones is Linux. And then she says, actually, our phones are using OpenWRT. Maybe the UI looks similar to DDWRT. We heard you. Once the FIP 12WP is in stock, we will send you a sample for reviewing. So they are going to send me the big button phone, and I love them for that. We're looking forward to your review. Should you have any questions about our phones, feel free to contact us. And so I said thank you. That was February 22nd and has been crickets ever since. However, all of you who are in tech know that at the moment we are in a global silicon shortage. We are in a global crisis when it comes to technology. All right, back to the comments. Joe says, Willie, you should open up the sale of your goods to your Patreon members. That is actually a good idea. And I see Terry telling Joe to shh. Bob says, I'm trying to convince the spousal unit that we need a new Grandstream PBX. It's not going very well. Well, Bob, keep trying, man. I've got to use, actually, I have an unused 6100 series, which doesn't get all the new cool features, but they are patching for security. If you're interested, let me know. I'll trade you that Grandstream 6102 for one of those Lenovo IoT things. Let me know what you think about that. How about a shootout between Unify and Grandstream? I think that's in order. I think that's in order. Yeah, and everybody, Dave Robertson says it in the comments, everybody who has swapped out their Unify for Grandstream, everybody's been nothing but pleased. Nothing but pleased. Free BS wants me to put $1 in the jar. You're assuming I have $1 and a jar. Yeah, and there go. Yeah, Bob says, yeah, let me just cut a huge hole in my customer's outer concrete wall. That's hilarious. And Gibby says, yeah, they've been using the GWN series of APs. I'm telling you, the GWN series of APs from Grandstream are solid. They are solid. And Noodle says, yeah, I'm going to drill holes for power adapters in your walls. Yes, no, we're not. And they're exactly right. They're exactly right. Yeah, and this goes back to engineers not always being the people in the field that are doing this stuff, right? Cecil says, I'm replacing my AC Pro with a GWN 7630 for a lot of my smaller deployments. And your clients are going to be happy. They're going to be happy. And if they're not, you let me know. And if we need to get a hold of somebody at Grandstream, we'll do that. Grandstream listens, believe it or not, and it may not seem like it. They do have a hierarchy. They have a structure, right? So if you come to me, and I've done this, and people should be able to testify to this. People who haven't even used me as an integrator, as a system designer, as a consultant, will come to me and ask me to turn in tickets to Grandstream. I will do that. As a Grandstream reseller, as a Grandstream certified expert, I will turn in tickets on your behalf. Now, if it gets crazy, we're going to have a conversation. But I've turned in just this year several tickets. Grandstream wants the tickets. If you're an end user, they're going to respond to you. But the resellers are going to have a little bit of a higher priority in that queue. So I don't mind doing that at all. But yeah, we can definitely get a hold of somebody over there because Grandstream does listen to those of us who they have testing the products. Believe it or not, they do. And we know their roadmap. They've shared their roadmap with us. They do have a public roadmap that you can go out and find, but they're listening. Yeah, the GWN APs, man, they're just solid. Oh yeah, Bob, I forgot about that shipping. So I've got a Canadian client who shipped me those Grandstream door stations. And I'm going to do some videos on that because there's a particular way that I like to deploy those. When it comes to the wiring, I like to create a whip on the back and then put a keystone jack on it. Hey, Steven, thanks for being here. We'll see you, buddy. And so I'm going to do a video on that, how to pre-wire those. But yeah, so he shipped those to me from Canada and they got like customs had to hold them and all this other stuff. So him and I will have to talk about, we're going to have to talk about that shipping sitch up to the Great Frozen North. So, yeah, Bob, maybe we'll figure something out. And Cecil, once again, you're going to see these comments over and over and over again. Cecil saying, they are, Willie, nothing better when you get a client text or call you days later after deployment saying how much better the Wi-Fi is now, and that's it. Every time we're getting that. So I'll tell you what, we've been at this a little bit over an hour. If you do need IT consulting, make sure you go to williehowe.com, fill out the contact form, and somebody will reach out to you, whether it's me, whether it's James, whether it's Tim. it's during the day, it's probably not going to be me unless I'm on my lunch break, but we do get those contact forms turned around really quickly. All of our affiliate links are down below. They don't change your price, but they do kick a couple bucks to the channel. Watch out for the return of Patreon. That is coming. I'm trying to work that out. And those of you who are Patreons, thank you very much. And I hope you all have a great Saturday. I hope everybody's hanging in there. Give us a shout out. Hit that like button. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Stuff's all down below. There's stuff on TikTok that's nowhere else right now. So, but it's only 60 seconds. Some of it's only 37 seconds. So what are you missing, right? Check it out. Check it out. If you need anything, make sure you reach out. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, I will see you in the next video.